Get ready for the world's greatest Arsenal podcast. Welcome to another podcast by Guns and Yellow Ribbons. Enjoy the show.
Hello, good evening. Welcome to another episode of Guns and Yellow Ribbons. I'm Fergus. I'm your host. Wow, what a week. What a week. For some people's livers, for some people's patience, to supporting the Arsenal, for people travelling back from Newcastle. We'll talk about the horrendous journey you had, Dan. And for Trevor, who's not here today because he's got no internet for, I think, 9 more days. And he's in the back of beyond, so his phone wouldn't be good enough to use, and he's covered in boxes and tattoos and stuff like that. So yeah, Trevor's not going to be here this week, but we will say good luck in the new house. And Donna, he's in the Ruth Beck wing, and we'll just leave him in the Ruth Beck wing, so that's where he belongs. So Alex, you're on your way over here tomorrow in London. Is it a surprise for somebody?
Not anymore. I kept it a secret
anymore.
Until a week ago, and then I told my grandpa that I'm taking him for the game tomorrow. So he was over the moon when I told him, and he can't wait for tomorrow. So that would be really good.
Has he got a flag? Has he got a flag?
He hasn't got a flag. I might need to speak to a certain person who's good with flags. He's got his scarf, but yeah, might be something he should look into getting a flag like that.
So, Dan, it looks like you might have a slightly older DJ in the background telling you what songs to play.
As long as it ain't an half and half scarf, I don't really mind. But yeah,
it's not.
It's not good, Ferg. We're a minute in, and I've not really agreed with anything you've just said so far. And
you haven't agreed.
No change there. Then I'm not wishing Trevor any luck. He should be here tonight. I don't care what you say. Boxes or no boxes, Trevor. He's left us on our own, and no, I'm not happy with you, Trevor. You're watching.
Well, what it does mean is the chat will be very quiet. Okay, not you guys chat among yourselves by all means, but the amount of things that will come up the bottom will be limited because I'm getting all the other bits and pieces done as well. So, but by all means, if you guys see a comment, please point it out to me, and we'll go back to it if you want on there. Look, we're going to look briefly back at the West Ham game. Well, I'll tell you, I say we're going to look back at the West Ham game. We were that far back from the West Ham game. It might as well be about a week ago anyway from where we were. Dan, these are our seats. It's not very good in the upper tier, is it? Oh, hang on. Live from, here we go. Is he in? Hillsy.
Hey,
boys. I've just
yeah,
walked in the door, so I'm only coming on for a few minutes. Just want to say Gary Neville's a knob, and then I'm off again. To be honest.
Well, we know you got 50p in your phone data meter. We're just talking about the distance and how far away the West Ham game. Well, I'll tell you what. We'll open with your thoughts on what the West Ham game. Just a brief rundown of what you thought about the West Ham game, and then you can stay on for as long as you like, because I'll talk to the other guys first. What was your expectation going into the game? What did you make of the performance and the lineup? And ultimately, how did you feel by being knocked out?
Oh, well, I thought the lineup was good enough to give a better performance than we did. I didn't in a million years think we were going to lose by that score. It came as a complete shock to me. But we're out, it was an awful performance from my perspective. Didn't turn up, and we move on. But then we moved on to that debacle, didn't we, on Saturday? So yeah, 2 bad games, boys, last week. 2 bad games that we've got to put to bed. We've got to put them to bed and move on to tomorrow night. But it is I've never seen social media so awash as it has been this last 2 days with fans talking about officials and how it's going on. Then the good thing is, and we've all done it, I've done it, right? I've done it. But it's getting to a stage now where there's less fans laughing, like, say Man United fans laughing because Arsenal have had a bad decision. That's not happening quite so much now. It seems to be a bit of a united front developing about the standard of the officiating, and decent ex-professionals are standing up and saying it's not good enough. Professionals that are paid to be on the telly and probably have a script put in their hands and told what they can say are still laughing about it. But I'm absolutely fuming. I'm going to have to stop because I could go on all night about it, boys. I'm absolutely fuming about the standard we have dropped to in this country, and I can't believe it's anything other than corruption. I can't believe people have got this bad. I can't. I mean, that goal just sums it up. You can't be sure that the ball's out of play. You can't be sure that the ball's out of play, right? Because the ball's angled.
The West Ham game. Stick to the West Ham game, and we'll. If you stay on there, we will come back to it. We've got to cover the West Ham game briefly because I want to know what people thought, and then we will get into the Newcastle game. Alex, your thoughts on the West Ham, your thoughts on the West Ham game?
Well, I agree with Trevor what he said. Our lineup was strong enough to get a better result than we got. I think he was right to rotate some players. Good to see Ramsdale in goal. Kiwi all playing. Then Vieira came in, Nilsson, Trossard. I mean, they're all good players, and they should be good enough to get a result at West Ham, even though they are a good team and it is a difficult ground to come to. But I mean, West Ham were just so clinical. They took their chances. They got a lucky goal in the first half. Maybe should have been ruled out if VAR was there. It wasn't, so it didn't. Fair enough that the ref didn't spot it. You can live with those kind of mistakes when there's no VAR. And then
Can you?
I mean, I can. Yeah,
Can you?
I think.
Yeah,
I think it's easier for me to live with those kind of mistakes when there's no VAR. But when there is, and those kind of mistakes still happen, that's where it sort of goes wrong for me.
Alex is right, Ferg. Alex is dead right, mate. Alex is dead right. I mean, that was an awful goal. It was that challenge on Ramsdale. It was awful. It was blatant. But you've always got in the back of your head, he's only being watched by one pair of eyes, the ref, and he can't have them everywhere, you know. So you've always got that bit inside your head that says he may not have seen it, which we've got to accept, and we always did accept, you know. But there's no excuse for the other crap.
Dan, Ben White shouldn't have been heading back towards his goal that way. Overall, in that first half, I thought we did dominate, bar that first goal. Halftime we went in for beers. Great goal by Kudus for the. I cocked it up again. I saw you little wry smile. Kudus and then a heavy deflection for the third goal. What was your thoughts on the game and in and around us?
I mean, I've got a slightly different view to the other guys in terms of the officials and VAR there. I'm as frustrated as anyone when it comes to them having an impact on the game. I don't feel like they had an impact on the West Ham game. I feel like the impact on that West Ham game, I feel like the impact on that West Ham game was because we were poor. And I think that's as poor as I've probably seen us for a long, long time. I was disappointed. that the squad players that came in didn't make an impact and they didn't show that they were able to step up to the first team. And I think it's clear why we have so much reliance on our starting 11 because there is a massive drop-off still in the squad. Now, I think we can get away with maybe one or two changes. We're still nowhere near the level where we can make 6 or 7 changes to our starting lineup and expect to be beating a half-decent, even Premier League team. So, yeah, it was awful in my opinion for performance. You can say we dominated. I feel like we were in control, but then we had no real threat. I'd probably say in terms of the performance we had, the impact that the squad players had, and the fans and the away end, that was probably the worst I've been to in the last couple of years.
We'll talk about the fans in 1 second. Alan's got a really good point, and which is the point which I thought surely we should start with a better team and bring on the squad players off the bench afterwards. For example, we brought on Rice and the reception he got. Well, I thought the hardcore West Ham fans gave him a good reception. The day trippers and the Johnny Come Lately fans were the ones that were booing. It was quite mixed around us where with regards to the reception. I know it came over on TV as everybody booed, but they didn't. But it was Odegaard coming on. He did score the consolation goal, and now he's out again injured and probably won't. He didn't play on Saturday and probably won't play again. Well, if he's not fit enough to be there, he shouldn't be on the bench. But if he's fit enough there, he should have started and given him 20 minutes, go 2-3 goals up, and then take him off. With regards to the fans, I totally agree with you. I was absolutely fuming, and anybody who saw on Twitter that night, I did put a post up, and it started at 60 minutes, Dan, didn't it? 60 minutes down the drain, Arsenal fans walk out of West Ham again.
Oh, he did there, Ferg. Honestly, and look, I'm going to try and be a bit more balanced and a bit objective, right? Because I've spoken to quite a few people that have various opinions on people leaving games, and I fully understand people leaving early to get trains. I fully understand people leaving because they've got other things they have to do in their life, and football for many people isn't their number one priority. Fully understand that. I understand that people pay for their ticket and they all have the right to do what they wish and want to do. For me, it's the manner of the way that people walk out that really frustrates me, in that you can walk out at any moment, but when you walk out the second after a goal's gone and your reaction is pretty much, sod this, I'm off. I don't understand what type of fan you are, because you're not a fan. You may as well be a day tripper, in my opinion, that you react to your club conceding a goal and you want to walk out. It's just not the way that I see being a fan at a football club. For me, you concede, and that's the time when fans should be louder. Now, if that happened at like 85, 90 minutes, yeah, I might understand a bit more. But 60 minutes in...
This is 90 minutes at the lower tier, and you can type of understand that people trying to get out and everything else. But some of these photographs were taken earlier.
You do have to say, Ferg, it's not everyone, and let's not put everyone in the same, paint them with the same brush. And I don't think you can. We don't know the numbers. We don't know who it is that's walking out. I don't think you can just say, it's the people with low credits or it's this type of person or what it is. But an awful lot of people left after that third goal, and for me, it's frustrating to see. And the biggest disappointment. Last thing, biggest disappointment is people that left. I didn't really notice an impact on the crowd because there was no noise before that, let alone when they left. So I don't care it's a Wednesday night. I don't care that it's an evening game. I don't care it's the Carabao Cup with a second string side. You've got 5,500 away at London Derby. Make a bit of noise.
Yeah, it's a difficult stadium to do it. Trev, we spoke to it briefly, just finishing up on the fans thing. And you said, especially with the distance that you've got to travel, and it's a late kickoff on, I was 7:30, so you're looking at 9:30 finish at 3-0 down. You would have said, thanks very much, lads. I'm going to try and get an earlier train.
Yeah, I'd have been gone. Yeah. No, I'd have been gone because it's West Ham and it's such an horrible hellhole to get out of. That with my journey home, I'd have thought 3-0 down. No. 1-0 up, I'd have been there till the end and probably sat on King's Cross Station after night, waiting for the first train in the morning. But at 3-0, I'd have been gone on my train home.
So I'm talking
about trains. Just on that, Trev, what would your reaction have been though? Because I can't see you as being a person that says, the third goal's gone in, sod it, I'm off. It would have been, okay, do you know what? Maybe it's done. I'm going to get the train back and make sure I'm not ridiculously home late because I've got distance to travel. But I can't see your reaction being... Yeah, I mean... One would have the but I can't see you having that same reaction saying, sod this, I'm done. Because half of those people haven't got the distance to travel that you have.
If we'd have been losing 2-0 with 10 minutes to go, I'd have probably gone at 2-0, So that's what I do at evening games. I like, I get in trouble if I don't get the... And it's not just that, it's the places where the stadiums are, And West Ham's a horrible journey to get back to King's Cross. If you don't get out there quick and get on that train at a night game, then I'm not getting home till like 3 or 4 in the morning, So, but for me, it's, I don't know what to say on it. People do what people do. It's gone on for hundreds of years at football, and it still will. I'm not saying it's right. I'm not saying it's wrong. I get what you say, Dan, because I know what you're like as a fan, right? You're right into it, and you're very, very passionate, and you've got your views on that, and they're good views. But some people are different, Dan. Some people are just different and they're going to disappear off. And that's what happened at West Ham the other night.
I'll tell you what annoyed me about it, Trev. It was more the hoo-ha there is about tickets and ballots. I know the ballots are the home game, but the away tickets and the amount of people say there's a closed shop and they're entitled to this, that dropped down to 5+ tickets. Some people are going to the first away game. Okay, it wasn't the best away game, but you get the opportunity. As Dan said, it's not the best ground to get an atmosphere going in, but there was, what do you think of Tottenham flying around and stuff like that? You're thinking, oh, really? Just
I'd rather that than nothing. I'd rather that than
yeah, I get that. I was just, it's just, if people are that entitled and that precious that they think they deserve a ticket over somebody else like you, Trevor, Dan, or even myself at times, who travel up and down the country and then piss off early. It just didn't sit well with me. That was it. And look, listen, everyone's entitled to do what they want to do. So,
no.
Newcastle, because I know, Trev, you want to talk about the Newcastle game. Let's look at the lineup first and foremost. So, David,
go in a few minutes, Ferg, but yeah, I'd love to talk about Newcastle. Go on,
okay.
Mate. Sorry.
We'll talk about the goal and stuff. Probably we'll go into the VARs more than anything else, I think. So the lineup was Raya was back in goal, Saliba, right, Gabriel, and Tomiyasu chosen for right I think was it left back. Rice, Jorginho, Havertz, Saka, Martinelli, and Nketiah. This midfield, Alex, of Rice, Jorginho, and Havertz was really the only option we had, because Odegaard, with that injury that we talked about briefly. So, you know, what was your thoughts of that midfield? We don't really have much choice, but it's not the most dynamic midfield, is it?
No, but like I feel like when you look at our midfield last season, which was Jorginho, Xhaka, and Odegaard, I don't feel like it's a massive downgrade. I mean, it is a big miss that Odegaard wasn't ready for the game. Obviously, disappointing. He did very well last season when we went out there, and he is a big player for us. But I felt like when you looked at Newcastle's squad as well, they were missing 8 senior players. I felt like our midfield should have been good enough to stand up against their team.
Dan, the game was quite fiery, and it was very much a battle in the midfield. You could see at 17 minutes in, Tomiyasu won a corner, and you could see him fist pumping on the pitch. And I thought that was brilliant, just to see the passion. And as the game transpired, overall, I thought that's where there was no real threats coming from anywhere. But what did you make of like that sort of old-fashioned 1990s type of battle?
I mean, certainly more so the second half, but the crowd were a lot louder as well in the second half, and I think certain events did get the crowd up, to be honest with you, which I think might have just changed the game a little. But I actually thought until that point we had quite a mature performance. I thought we went there and tried to slow things down, control the game, not allow things to get out of hand. And I actually thought, without penetration, because I think we had none, I thought we actually was quite mature, and I wasn't unhappy at half time with how we played. And I actually wasn't too unhappy with how we played for the whole 90 minutes, if I'm totally honest with you. There are some obvious things that we've lacked. I think Odegaard being one, Jesus being another. We are massively reliant on those two, and also massively reliant on the 2 wide men having a good performance. And I think it shows. Without a decent attacking performance, we do struggle to score goals and win tight games like that. But I wasn't massively unhappy. I think a lot of people before the game said that they would have taken a draw. I must say I wasn't one of those. I thought we had to win the game, but a lot of people said they would have taken a draw. And I think the reaction has been massively over the top. And this is why I said in the group chats about to everyone, stop moaning, because I just felt like, and literally I muted all my chats. I stayed off social media because I just couldn't be bothered with the fallout from the game, because we lost that game by fine margins, and those fine margins being the powers that are out of our control that got things horrendously wrong. And we've been affected because of a poor decision, a few poor decisions by referees and VAR. And everybody seems to want to pin a lot of that on Arsenal all the time, and saying comments such as we've gone backwards, or they want to pin it on the Raya, or they want to pin it on Havertz. They want to make a scapegoat out of someone. I don't think we need to make a scapegoat out of anyone in that game. I feel like the only scapegoat is VAR and the referees. You know, we're at a point now where We're only 3 points off the top. We've played Man City, we've played Man United, we've played Chelsea, we've played Tottenham, we've played Newcastle. We've had Jesus out with big injuries. Martinelli's been out of injuries. Saka missed a game. Erdegaard's missing games. Partey's missed games. You know, Zinchenko's been out for a few games. Let's stop getting on the back of the team and saying that it's someone's fault within the team, or it's Arteta, or it's someone. It's not. We're doing okay.
You know what? I don't think there was anybody in that performance on Saturday. Okay, maybe the forward line was a bit neutered, and I even saw Eddie doing quite a lot of working back in the first half, in working deeper and trying to do what Jesus does. But there was little or no service coming up there. But there was one major highlight in the first half, which was the tackle on. The Havertz tackle. I'm going to play it here for a second. Just let's see what you think. Trev, I'll come to you on it. So it's slowed down quite a bit there. Go on.
I was surprised that he didn't get a red, because we've seen red for tackles like that most of the season. You've got to be honest and say it how you see it. He's an Arsenal player, and I support the Arsenal, but he's gone in there, and I thought this could be the end for him here. This could be a red. And I was quite surprised, but pleasantly happy when he didn't get sent off. I agree with most of what Dan says, right? In that I wouldn't have minded Newcastle when I saw the lineup, right? When you see a triangle of Havertz, Jorginho, and Nketiah, I thought to myself, there's not going to be much dynamism here. We're not going to be dynamic. We're going to need a 1-0 here. We're going to need Havertz or Jorginho or Nketiah to get one chance and put it away, because I don't like them three in the same side. But I thought they actually played quite well. And for me, this is where I disagree with Dan slightly. For me, I was furious, and I was moaning and I was complaining about the nature of the goal, about how the goal was given. I wasn't upset with the way Arsenal played. I think there were certain elements of the game that we could have done better. But when I saw the lineup, as I said, I thought to myself, this is going to be a 1-0. If we're going to win today, we're going to nick a 1-0 here with that side. But it was the manner of the goal, and we could talk about it all night, that I was upset with, because it wasn't a goal, It wasn't a goal. And I'm so proud of my manager. I'm absolutely chuffed to bits that Arteta is the one that stood up.
Trev, what you thought was a red card, then Alex, did you think it was a red card, or did you feel that, like what Beck's Gunner 81 says here, he didn't think it was reckless? Yet again, you got Heath, who thought it was a straight red card, his feet left the ground.
I think it's one where you could argue it's a red card. I think it's quite reckless because, he isn't really going anywhere, and he's coming flying, Havertz. I think the contact is quite minimal. He's lucky that he didn't really catch him too much on the tackle, but I think I wouldn't have said too much if he'd given a red card. It was a reckless challenge, and you could compare it a bit to the one the Spurs player, Udogie,
did that.
The way he went in yesterday and didn't really catch him too much. I think they're quite similar. The
difference with the Udogie one is Udogie came with 2 feet up. If you look at Havertz one, he's got one leg going forward to block the shot. The other trailing leg is the one that catches him. I'm not going to play it again because YouTube will snag me for.
They both resulted in yellows, and I think the thing that we want the most is just consistency. And at least there was consistency in that sort of regard. So, could have been a red. Lucky it was a yellow, I'd say.
And Dan, that resulted in a yellow card for Havertz and 3 yellow cards for Newcastle, which was a bit of a result if we can do that more often. Also, the first half, a casualty of the first half was Dan Byrne. He was substituted off, and they had some Italian guy to replace him, and he had a great game. But the whole game took a turn, and it took a nasty turn, especially in the second half after that tackle. And one of the players linked with Arsenal before he signed for Newcastle was Bruno Guimaraes. how he stayed on the pitch, and this was looked at by VAR. And Trevor, we are going to do the VAR bit and then let you go. But how this was missed by VAR, I will never ever Dan. Shouldn't that have been?
There's a few things on that, Ferg. I just think, firstly, I just want to go back to the Havertz one, because I can't disagree anymore with Arnie. The rules do not say it's a red card. It isn't a red card. It's intensity, impact, and recklessness is what they look at, right? He's not 2-footed. He's out of control because he's off the ground, but he's gone to block the ball in front of it, and he's trailing and catches him. He's a little bit out of control, but it's never a red card. The one for me he's lucky with is he makes a second challenge later in the game. He should have got a second yellow card, in my opinion. He makes a second challenge, and that's the one that I'm very surprised he didn't get one for. But it's never a red card on its own, and it's got absolutely no relevance to the tackle yesterday from the doggy, because the doggy is completely off his feet, 2-footed, studs up, and regardless of where he catches the guy or not, he could seriously harm someone by doing that. He's gone towards a player. That's the red card. But
Havertz still catches him on his shin, like on the middle of his shin.
No, he's put out and his foot hits into him. It's completely different as impact going in towards the leg. It's his trailing leg that catches him. It's just never a red card by anyone.
That Sakala a red card many times this season.
Yeah, you can't say it's never a red card.
Studs onto his leg. For example, the Eddie Nketiah one before where he got a red card was because his studs were up and he landed into a player. This is in front of the guy, and he gets impact from the guy's leg into him. It's just never a red card. But on the Bruno one, that clip you showed doesn't do the situation justice. And this is another issue I've got with VAR is if you're looking at that instant on its own where he's got his forearm to his head, yes, you could argue a red card, but what shows it as more a red card for me is the clip just before that, where he's running around like a headless chicken, slides on the ground and misses it, and then goes and gets him in the head. You know, the context of that 30-second clip shows that the guy has lost his head and he's just struck out at someone.
But he also done this to Havertz not long afterwards. He's clearly lost his head, and it's violent conduct. You know, the rules say, you know, there's no attempt to play the ball. There was neither one of them had the ball at the time, so he should have gone at least for two yellow cards, if not 2 red cards.
Yeah,
Trevor, opinion on Guimaraes, and do you want to just get on, or do you just want to get onto the VAR? Because I know you've been chomping at the bit over this.
You see, it's interesting what Dan's just said and what Alex just said and what I've just said. It's open to interpretation of what goes on. But with the benefit of VAR, it shouldn't be like that. All I'm going to say about, I've got to go, folk, but all I'm going to say about VAR is I'm proud of my manager. I'm proud of a few ex-pros that have actually come out and said this isn't a problem for specific teams, specific supporters. This is endemic within the game of football nowadays, right? I'm very upset with the likes of, I'm going to name them, Lineker, Neville, Carragher, joking about it, making quips about it, laughing about it. It's not a laughing matter. Something's got to be done. Every week now, we don't talk about games of football. We talk about poor decisions. And with the technology they've got, it shouldn't be happening. So, you know, I just hope that people listen to Arteta. You know, how many times in the last couple of years have us as Arsenal fans been the right side of a decision and thought, Jesus, we got away with that, but we've laughed and took the mickey out the opposition fans and that, you know, just like Newcastle fans have done to me this week, you know. And, you know, that's what happens. We're football fans. We're full of banter. But the time has come now, and our old mate Kevin Campbell hit the nail on the head today when he said something needs to be done. It's football that's the problem, not the fans, not the players. It is officials at football. And I'm saying this, no one else has said this, and I've said it before and I'll say it again. When you see decisions like we were subjected to on Saturday, I can't think of anything other than corruption or a payoff or something happening. Maybe it doesn't, but what else can you think of? There's 3 things there. The ball, you know, before Gary Neville done his weaselly bit with a football last night, which was highly embarrassing, childishly embarrassing. we all know that different angles make the ball look in or out, right? So the ball, we don't know about the ball, right? But what we do know is that that was an awful foul on Gabriel. It was a two-handed proper shove in the back. And that's given every game, every day. So why wasn't it given then? Why wasn't that given, that foul there? Don't tell me it's incompetence on behalf of the VAR official, because I won't have it. They have all the training, all the updates. They're full-time. They're full-time officials. They're not part-time going out doing another job during the week. This is their job. And they can't get that right. So draw your own conclusions, guys. I've drawn mine. I've got to be careful because otherwise I'll get in a lot of trouble. But
Trev, before you go, I just think that you and there is a Man United pundit, Mark Goldbridge, out there. He said this, and I think it echoes very much similar along your lines.
Decision yesterday. Arteta says it's a disgrace. You've got Neville Carragher saying get on with it, and now you've got Michael Owen saying get on with it, if that's true. Who does the show with Howard Webb? Michael Owen. Who's had Howard Webb on their show? Gary and Jamie. I mean, start opening your eyes to what's actually going on here. There's probably little WhatsApp groups or little messages going around. Look, we need to take the pressure off the PGMOL a bit. They're getting a lot of stick here and momentum's building in the fan base. You're really influential. Get out there and start, ridiculing Arteta, cause a division, and they'll all start fighting amongst each other. I see it for what it is.
You see, I've not seen that before, but he's absolutely nailed it. He's absolutely nailed it. And just to rub salt in all of our wounds as football fans of football, Sky TV will put Mike Dean on the telly this weekend coming, and he'll be telling us how wrong we all are and how useless we all are, and that we don't understand the rules of the game. So Sky TV are as much of the problem as anything else. It's endemic, and it's got to stop, because football. I don't want to watch football at the minute. I don't want to watch football, and I've watched football for 60 odd years. I don't want to watch it because I know at the end of the game I'm not going to be saying, "Oh, that player had a blinder. What a pleasure it was to watch him." I'm not going to be saying, "What a great save from that goalkeeper." Or I'm not going to be saying the fans were amazing today. After every game, I'm thinking the referees won that game for someone. The officials' influence has changed the result. That game wasn't won by the best football playing team. It was won by a VAR or an official making a decision. And it's almost every bloody game. And it's got to stop. We've got to stop it. So we've got to be a united front. I don't know how we do it. I'm not that clever. But there is some way of doing it. Maybe, Dan, you're an intellectual young man, right? You're a clever young man. You need to start up a new referees association. Recruit some referees, give them some training, and say to the Premier League, here, I've got this group of referees. We ain't going to do no worse than what you've already got. And in fact, we're going to do a lot better. It needs something like that. I'm speechless. I'm gutted. There's an old man. I'm actually gutted. I'm sad for the state of my game that I love, that I spend thousands and thousands of pounds on every year watching. I don't want to watch it anymore. I've never been like that, ever in my life. I'm getting emotional here, because for me, it is emotional. People from outside are ruining my game, and they know they're ruining it, and they go on television and they say, "Oh, but we're all right. We did this. Howard Webb comes on and tells us a load of rubbish." As I said, this weekend, Mike Dean will come on and tell us we're all wrong and we're all not in the know. Well, the fact of the matter is, us fans are in the know. We're not as stupid as people think. We all know football, and we all know, most of us know at the moment, that it's very, very wrong somewhere, and it needs changing. It needs changing desperately, because it's just done. It's finished. It's gone. Boys, I'm sorry I ranted. I love you all, but I've got to go because Donna's shouting me from the kitchen. Love you all, boys. Take care.
See you tomorrow, Trev.
See you later.
Cheers.
Well, I will just say, Ferg, I'm very sorry, but if anyone wants to offer me some Saudi money, I know Trev said about setting up a referees association, but I would be open to some Saudi money, I'm afraid.
Some funding.
So we had it was 65 minutes in, and it was 1-0 to Newcastle. Let's look at the three offside decisions. So the first one is the ball out of play. So we can see it there and see it a little bit closer up. We saw the little video clip that Gary Neville did on TV, and I just played a version of that where because of the camera angle, the convecture of the ball may show that it was touching the line, so therefore would have been in play. So would you be both agree that if you can't prove it definitively if it went out of play, you need to stick with the on-field decision in that one? Would we say that's correct?
100%.
Yes,
Yeah,
but
okay. So-
I'll have to say, like, how haven't they got the technology to determine whether the ball is in or out when they've got it on the goal line? Why haven't they got it on the whole pitch? Because we've seen it multiple times now this season where they haven't really been able to conclude whether the ball is in and out.
I mean, to be honest, Alex, I had a similar thought the other day, and I was sitting there thinking they can ping a line across for an offside. Why can't they ping a line across for the edge of the line and the edge of the ball? I don't understand why they do it.
Or like just the Hawkeye technology or whatever it's called.
Well, BN Sports done a computer model of it, and they had it that it was like a gnat's crack away from it was in.
Yeah.
So
I mean, my opinion is actually that the ball was still in play.
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
Watching it live, I thought the ball. I went, oh, that's going out. Oh, Christ, he kept that in. That's tight. If we'd got the goal disallowed because of that and only that, I would have thought, oh, we got lucky on that one. The next one I want to look at, because I think it's probably easier to discuss, is the offside. Now, what I can see here is the ball on top of, is that Lascelles' head?
Is it Joe Linton?
Joe Linton. Yeah, Joe Linton.
Joe Linton's head. And you see Gordon opposite. Gordon is behind Raya, and therefore there's only one Arsenal defender in the box. So one would have thought that would say it's offside.
Well, it depends, because if the player's behind the ball, then he's not offside, irrelevant of how many players are actually behind. So for me, that's actually still onside because the ball's played effectively to a guy that's behind the ball.
Yeah, it's whether he's behind the ball or not, isn't it?
What about Joe Linton, though? Is he not offside?
Well, you have to see when the ball's played, because that picture, I guess, shows it where it comes off of Joe Linton as opposed to when it's crossed. So it's a very different picture. I mean, yeah, my opinion is from Joe Linton, it's played back. I'd like to see closer if it's anyone's hand or anything like that. But again, the pictures are quite unclear. Again, with the offside, if you can't physically draw a line and you can't get a definitive answer, then I can understand why they've not done it. What I don't understand is why there's not enough camera angles in the Premier League ground to be able to show from all angles a 360 view and ping a line exactly where it is and make sure he's behind the ball. Now, my opinion is still that he's actually onside, but you can't tell, which is frustrating. I don't see the biggest frustration here, Ferg, and I said this for the Spurs game last night as well, is that I guarantee you at the Spurs-Chelsea game, not a single fan in that stadium had a clue what was going on. Same as not a single one of us fans in the Newcastle ground really understood what the issue was. He came up and said checking offside or checking ball out of play, checking this, but no one really had a clue. Why can't they be showing us those pictures in the ground? Why can't they have different camera angles where the fan experience is actually what they promised all those years ago during COVID?
They did say that, and I keep on repeating that. It's a bit like Van Persie getting the yellow card for kicking the ball after the whistle. I see it done time after time after time. I never see it done again. But the thing with this offside one, it's a very easy solution, and we've got it. We had it in Qatar. We've got it in the Champions League, and you got it in other leagues around Europe, which is the semi-automated offside. That would have come along, flagged up. You need to double check this, but that mightn't even have been a discussion point, because it would have picked up and gone, no, it's onside, and they wouldn't even have to debate that.
Yeah. But the fact of the matter is, both those decisions are completely irrelevant, because there's only one thing they should be checking, and it's 100% a foul, a push in the back. And I guarantee you, at every single corner, that's given as a foul. but because there's a goal involved, all of a sudden they've not given a foul. It's a ridiculous decision. I don't think anyone that actually watches the game could disagree and say that's not a foul. He's got a straight arm, 2 hands pushed in his back, and he's pushed him off balance. It's a foul. It's ridiculous. Like there is no other opinion. I'm not going to accept anyone's opinion. That is a foul by the letter of the law, by any game I've ever seen now, in previous years, in any area of the Premier League. That is a foul. That's not changed in the last 3, 4, 5 years. That is a foul all day long. It always has been.
Now, you can hear it when you listen to the commentary team, and I know for a fact that the referee feed is given to the commentators. I was fortunate enough, when they were talking about T-shirt lines and so on, I was privy to a meeting where they were talking about changes to VAR after the first season and so on. Was pre-COVID, and what you can hear going on. We hear some of the clips that are done on that monthly one now that Howard Webb makes up some stories about. But you can hear the commentators talking about, they're looking at a foul, and then they go, but yeah, he's heading forward to cover Raya because Raya's positioning, which we can talk about as well. But he's covering Raya, and he has ducked to cover for Raya's absentee between the sticks, but he's then pushed down further. Alex, what's your thoughts on it, and how did you feel at the time? Gutted, I suppose.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I've seen what the ref said as well, and apparently the thing they said was he's got 2 hands in his back, but it wasn't a shove or something like that, which is just nonsense. Because I mean, like Dan said, by the letter of the law, it's a foul. We discussed earlier with Havertz, and yeah, okay, that's a bit more subjective, but this is objectively a foul. You can't say otherwise. I mean, it has to be given as a foul. I can't see why. And yeah, I mean, it's just frustrating, and especially when it's a game where it's balancing, and it's come down to fine margins. It just makes it even more frustrating. And yeah, I think ball out of play, that's a difficult one. Offside, yeah, okay, right. But this one, you can't argue. It's a foul.
I mean, what
what
did I think he was doing, Alex? Do you think he was giving him a nice little massage? Like, I don't understand what VAR are actually looking for there. The guy jumped, and even if it's not from a bent elbow to a straight elbow, if your arm's out straight and you're jumping and you lean forward and you put pressure on a player, it's a foul. There's no other way about it. And it's a decision that's completely changed, not just the result of that game, not just lost as a point, but also just the impact on the negativity around the club and the fan base. For me, is bigger than just that point.
Yeah, I agree.
And there was a handball in there. There was a handball in there as well.
Yeah, that's what I said. I said, you know, they should be looking at that as well, and has it touched his arm or not? The only reason I'm not highlighting those is because there should be no need to even look at any of those other decisions other than.
I agree. I do find that a lot of fans on social media say, no, we were robbed, we lost 3 points. We didn't. We were never going to get 3 points in that game. There was 8 added minutes at the end of that game. And to be honest, I think if you put 80 added minutes at the end of that game, I don't think we still would have scored. Let's talk about some individual performances. So if we look up top, not digging anybody out, but Eddie and Saka in particular had very, very, very quiet games. Martinelli, I thought he tried very, very hard, but just nothing really came off from him. I did say earlier, the service that was coming up to them wasn't the best service in the world. Alex, your thoughts on the forward mid and the attacking midfield forward sort of area?
Yeah, I think I had to watch the game back because I couldn't watch it on the Saturday live. So I'd seen all the reactions from the fans and saw loads of people digging out, especially Eddie. And yeah, he didn't have his best game, but I agree, like he didn't have much service, and I think Saka didn't have a very good game. He got into a lot of good positions, but every time he looked a bit off. And as you said, Martinelli, he always keeps going with his taking on players, and yeah, but yeah, just not the best game. And like you said, I didn't feel like we was ever going to score, even even though there would have been 80 minutes added on. I think Havertz showed a lot of tenacity in midfield. I think he's becoming better at receiving the ball, turning and running into space, and he did that a couple of times, which was good in the Newcastle game. I think he had a good performance, and I liked even though it was a bit dangerous, and he probably should have been sent off, if not the first, then the second challenge, which Dan talked about. I like the fight and the willingness you saw in him, and the fire. I think a lot of people were complaining about his body language in the first games. I think we all saw in that game that he's not just a lazy player. So that was good to see. I think Rice again had a good game. Jorginho, not his best game, but yeah, Rice played very well. But yeah, I mean, yeah, it's just a draw for me. It should have been a draw, and it's just frustrating.
James makes a comment on Facebook saying, the game would have been more open if the goal wasn't scored. Yes, it was. But to be honest, James, even before that point, I didn't see Newcastle really getting many opportunities to score. Never mind Arsenal. I think the stats on BBC are 0-0 shots on target. If you go on to most publications, is that the stats I took out of the Guardian say there was one shot on target, and you can see on the there, like, we had more shots on goal overall. We had more possession overall. We had more corners overall. And they committed more fouls. So I think it wasn't a bad performance there. The corners, Dan, Trossard had 3 in a row. Couldn't get it past the first post. Surely we should be looking at somebody else taking those corners then.
Yeah, I don't know about someone else taking them. I do believe that there are tactics that they try and have on set pieces of where to aim, where not to. I think against a side like Newcastle that are quite a tall physical side, good in the air, it's difficult. I do agree with you. I don't think we lost 3 points. I think we lost a point. I think overall I was quite pleased with how we played from our box and the middle third. I think when we got in the final third as a team, we wasn't good enough. And I don't think you can really dig out any individuals on that. I think as an attacking unit, we were quite poor. But I agree with you, Alex. I think people want to dig out certain individuals, and and I'm not going to keep jumping on with Kai Havertz. I thought he wasn't the worst player on that pitch for us. I think
it was his best performance for Arsenal to date.
I think he did a lot of good things.
Argue, yeah.
People want to call out Raya and say out of position. Without the VAR issue, it's another clean sheet for the guy. Should have been another clean sheet.
But that's not the first time he's done.
Second best defense in the league.
That's not the first time Ray has done that, and it's a schoolboy error to a goalkeeper should stay within defending a ball coming in from that sort of area. He should stay within his near side post at least. For him to leave that area, and he's done it before. He came from. I think he got caught in that sort of position
should he be in the centre of the goal? For me, he should be covering his front post when we get to that angle.
No, but he had gone past his post. He should be still within his post. All the experts on telly and everything else were saying that his position was poor and have called him out. And again, everybody, including myself and many other Arsenal fans, are saying I cannot see the difference between him and Ramsdale, and I don't see why we've got the disruption and why we're actually playing the guy.
I mean, it might be controversial, but I think
Ramsdale did on Wednesday. Raya had a better performance Saturday than Ramsdale did on Wednesday. But people want to dig out Raya. I'm not going to pick one and say it has to be this, it has to be that. Like, I just think people are picking things for absolutely no reason. It's like they want a reason for us not to have won that game. They want to pin it on a player, or they want to pin it on a decision from a manager or something. There isn't that reason for me. And yeah, as I said, Ramsdale's performance on Wednesday wasn't good, in my opinion. But I'm not going to dig him out for it. But I don't think Raya deserves to be dug out for his performance on Saturday either.
Okay. Yeah. Again, James says, would I be saying that about Havertz if he had been sent off for a reckless tackle? To be honest, I thought the tackle was still reckless. I don't think it was a red card. It wasn't a red card. I did think I would have substituted him and taken him off earlier, and I wouldn't have left him on for the whole game. But that was obviously a psychological thing that Arteta did, because he did look like a man possessed. So he did have his flaws, but I think it still was one of his better games that he's had for Arsenal since signing. After the game, well, there was substitutions. Zinni, Trossard and Vieira came on for Ben White, Eddie and Jorginho. As I said, 8 minutes added, could have been 80, wouldn't make a difference. After the game, all hell broke loose. This man had said what he thought.
Deserve to lose the match playing in the ground, and then we didn't lose the match because of the clear and obvious decisions. It's embarrassing. It's a disgrace. That's what it is, a disgrace.
Will you be taking this up with PGMOL?
Yeah, we've been taking it for many months. There's so much at stake. We put so many hours. I'm here to represent the football club and to get my team to compete at the highest level. The margins are so small. It's a disgrace. It's embarrassing. That's how I feel.
Alex?
Yeah, I mean, he kept his cool during the match. Didn't get a yellow card. I think he just had to let it all out, and understandably, it must be so frustrating being interviewed after a match like that, and have to keep your emotions and not say anything, so you might get banned or anything. I can fully understand why he had to let it out. It was a frustrating match, and as he said, it was a disgrace. There's so much at stake. It's the supposedly world's best league. It's the best paid league, for sure. So we just need to get the best referees as well, and we haven't at the moment. And yeah, I get why opposition fans got a bit on the back of the club, because we don't want a scenario where every club goes out after they've had a decision go against them and come out with a statement. We want all the clubs work together against PGMOL to get this changed. And I sort of get why fans get annoyed, because every club has had decisions like that go against them now. And we just need to, the clubs just need to work together instead of coming out individually every time after an error. So yeah, I sort of get the backlash in a way, but I think he was entitled to have his rant after that performance from the ref, and I'm glad that the club backed him as well.
Dan, your views on Arteta's statement, the manner he made it in, the tone he used, and also the statement that the club have made.
I don't know about you guys, but I don't think he was losing his temper or anything like that in the press conference. I think he was quite calm when he said it, and I think he was absolutely spot on with what he said. I'm very, very glad that the club have come out and supported him, because I think he's absolutely spot on. And the only way I can sort of tie it back into anything is that, imagine in any relationship in life, whether it's friends, partner or something, there's only so many times you can keep accepting apologies, right? And people saying sorry for something. There comes a time when you just have enough and you end that relationship, or you find another solution. You can't just keep accepting apologies. And as he said, there's so much at stake for this, for what goes on in the Premier League, so much money involved. And we just have to put up with an apology every week, and it's all okay, and we move on. It's not okay. The standard is not high enough, and an apology doesn't make up for that. It doesn't make up for a fan week in, week out spending the amount of money they do, traveling the amount of miles they do to see such a poor level of officiating in the Premier League or in any league. It's not acceptable. And I keep going back to it of what they said during COVID, that football's nothing without the fans. It's about time they proved it, and they actually improved the experience for the fan, and ultimately getting the right decision. And they can't do that.
Well, the point of VAR is to stop those situations that I used to face when I made a decision on here, got into the dressing room, looked at my phone and thought, oh my goodness, how have I missed that? That shouldn't happen now. The VAR's there as that safety net. But what I don't want is situations where, there's some situations that could split opinion 60-40, not only in the public, for you guys, for the players, the coaches, also for the officials. And one VAR in 1 week will recommend a review, and in the same week a different one won't. And I think that would create a situation where people lose faith in what it's for.
Has anyone lost faith?
I think we all have, haven't we?
Listen, the thing is, like, we're an Arsenal podcast, and that's fine. We're having a moan up about the VAR decisions at Newcastle. But this isn't the first game. It was in the first game of the season for Wolves Man United. There's been Wolves Brighton. Last night was an absolute joke. There was 21 additional minutes played in last night's game. As you said, as a fan in the stadium, it was awful. I sat here watching it, and I could just hear, like, everyone, just the murmur of the whole atmosphere dies down. That Van de Ven pulled his hamstring. I'm sure it's down to the stop, start, warm down, cool. It can't be good for the players. It's not good for the atmosphere. It's not good for the game. I actually am a fan of VAR in principle. I just do not like the way VAR has been operated in practice.
I think I'd like to see it completely in the control of the referee. And you know what? I wouldn't mind so much if there was more short stops where the referee says, "I want to have a little look at that," or "Show me this," or "Show me that" up on the big screen, and like a 10-15 second clip, like stoppage, like they do in rugby, maybe. But I'd like to get to a point where it's more common for the referees to say, "No, not gonna change my decision," as opposed to, every time they go to the screen, 99% of the time it gets changed. And have the ref in control, have someone in his ear saying you might want to check this, fine. But the referee controls the game. And I said before, like, I don't like Chelsea fans, I don't like Spurs fans, but that must have been absolutely horrendous for any fan sitting in that stadium, as we just said. And it's just not good enough. Do you know what? I also believe, sorry, just one more thing on that. I genuinely believe that there is an element of they want to create drama because it sells a package worldwide. And it really wouldn't surprise me if they do this on purpose to create talking points around the world for people watching globally.
I don't know if Ferg can pull up the picture I've just sent to him, but that kind of talks into what you just said, Dan. Because in the morning, the Premier League posted a picture, sort of. I don't know if you can get it up, Ferg.
He does struggle with that, Alex. You know that.
I know.
Alex,
I know.
You do give him ammunition, don't you? Every bloody time. It's working. It's working.
There we go.
It's up. Dan, we'll talk about penetration later if you want. So yeah, go on.
I mean, it just shows, like, it seems like the Premier League, they're proud of the way the game unfolded yesterday.
It's ridiculous, isn't it?
The whole shit show where, I mean, like, disallowed goals, red cards. It's like they're proud of creating drama and 25 added minutes. I mean, all the fans are sick and tired of it.
Can I recommend that anybody who's got a friend who's a Tottenham fan as a birthday uses this for a Moonpig photograph for the next birthday card they send to them? I think it'd be absolutely priceless. Guys, I suppose we got to move on because we'll run out of time otherwise. Tomorrow night, a very big game. Arsenal face Sevilla. It's the fourth group stage game. We played them a couple of weeks ago out in Sevilla in the pouring rain. It looks like we'll play them again in the pouring rain. Arsenal are on 6 points with 2 wins, topping the group ahead of Lens, and Sevilla are without a win on 2 points in third spot. What are we expecting? A win, we qualify. Okay, doesn't know where we qualify, first or second, but probably first. So we do need to get a win, and then that puts it all down to the PSV game, and that puts us top of the group. No Jesus because of his hamstring, probably no Odegaard at the minute. And Alex, you said possibly no Eddie.
Yeah, I mean, at least he didn't train today, so I think it'll be a late fitness test to determine whether he's going to be in the squad or not. So yeah, we're definitely lacking offensive firepower with all those three if they're going to be out. But I mean, we've got the players, and I mean, they've had so many chances now. All these fringe players of the squad. I think it's time they finally step up and put in a good performance. So I'd really love to see that tomorrow.
Dan, do you see any penetration in the forward line at Arsenal on Wednesday?
I must say, I don't see many things from the weekend, Ferg, from what you're referring to. I don't remember anything after the game finished, so I don't know what you're on
No, I'm
about.
not. I'm talking about Sevilla game.
Yeah. I've lost my track. I don't know what I'm talking about now. Back to Sevilla. Getting on in here, Ferg. God, I need to turn my eating up a bit. I think it's a very key game tomorrow for a number of reasons. Right, one, oh God,
What about that one?
Get rid of him. Bring back Ferg. Come on. I think tomorrow's I'll be professional out of all of us. Don't worry. Tomorrow's a key game. We need to get back on a winning run. So 2 losses not good enough for a club of our size. We need to get back on and start winning. And also, I would really, really like to see us qualify early in first place and not to have anything in that December game against PSV. And honestly, if we finish top, I would completely change the team in December, because December is when the fixtures really do pile up. We've got a big Christmas fixture to sort of pile up as well. So let's just get it done early, win this game, win the Lons game at home, and make sure we qualify in first and can have a little bit of a sort of feet up moment in PSV.
So, do you go with your preferred keeper in Raya, or do you try Ramsdale on tomorrow?
I don't want to keep repeating old ground, because it's a difficult one. That I do agree with people that say I don't know what Ramsdale has done to be dropped yet, and even though I think Raya's the better keeper, I'm surprised he's become number 1 this early. So I could see it either way. The truth is, I don't care who plays in goal out of the 2 of them, because I think they're both good keepers. So if they picked one or the other, it wouldn't bother me. I do think you go with the strongest possible lineup for this game, whoever is fit.
Yeah, because I think we got a lesser game against Burnley on Saturday, which does really help. It would be more difficult if we say had a top 5, top 6 side that we had to play on Saturday. Alex, your thoughts on how would you set up on Wednesday, and then what sort of prediction are you thinking of?
Yeah, I agree. We have to go the strongest possible. In regards to the goalkeeping situation, I feel like Arteta's put himself in a spot where he almost can't drop Raya now, because it will just create even more drama around the whole situation. Yeah, I mean, we've got to go with our strongest squad. It's important that we put ourselves in the best position possible in regards to qualifying for the next round and getting that top spot, so we get matched against a number 2 seed. But I feel like one of the key decisions tomorrow will be who's going to play up front as the striker. It could be Havertz, it could be Martinelli. We've seen Trossard play there last season a couple of times, so it would be interesting to see whether he goes with one of those 3. But yeah, I feel like back 4 sort of picks itself. Tomiyasu now has sort of claimed that first spot on the left back against the big teams, and then Saliba and Gabriel, Ben White, Rice, Jorginho, and then probably Havertz, and then Martinelli, Trossard, and Saka up front.
No, it's Smith Rowe. Smith Rowe's out injured again, Dan, so no sign of him. Alex, what sort of scoreline are you hoping or thinking we'll get?
Well, hopefully the players are going to be hungry to sort of kick back after 2 losses in a row and sort of prove that we are heading in the right direction, and there's so much up for grabs for them as well. It's Champions League. I hope we'll go back and get a 3-0 win. I don't think Sevilla are that good, and especially when they're going to be away from home, it's going to be more difficult for them. They're really struggling in the National League. So I mean, we should be able to get a win against them. I just hope we show up tomorrow and that we're more clinical in the boxes as well and don't concede.
Yeah. Dan, prediction, and then we'll talk Burnley.
Yeah, honestly, I pretty much agree with Alex. I think we'll see a similar performance, hopefully, to what we did against PSV. I'm going to go with, I think, 3-0. I think, like Alex said, Sevilla's not been great in their domestic league current form. They are notoriously better at home as well. Makes a big impact, but us at home team, need a bounce back. So 3-0.
Yeah, I think I'll go 2-0 Arsenal for that one. I think. Dan, it's going to be a difficult one on Saturday. Hopefully, the result goes the right way tomorrow night and we get a positive spin and some positive vibes going through the stadium. We saw how difficult it was to get the crowd going and how, against Sheffield last weekend. It's going to be the same, although it's a 3:00 Saturday kickoff. It still will be the same. It's going to be a tough old gig. We do need that win tomorrow night to make sure that we're going in there with a positive vibe, because otherwise the doom and gloom naysayers are going to be out, aren't they?
We'll just do what we do and we'll go in with a positive vibe as we always do, and the others can have their own vibe if they want, but that's not going to be my vibe. The only thing you can do is set your own standard, and if everyone wants to do what they want, they can do what they want. It's down to the luck of the draw, who gets the ballot, who doesn't, what type of fan turns up, what time doesn't. You can only do what you can do. But maybe we have been sport recently in terms of atmosphere, and the last few years have been a massive improvement. So onwards and upwards.
Yeah. We have a special guest. Hopefully, going to meet up on Saturday. So he knows the pub we go to, and he knows to meet us at Block 5. So hopefully, we'll see you in the stadium or beforehand, Arnie. It'd be good to say hello and finally meet you, because you say enough in the chat.
Have a good trip, Arnie.
Have a good trip. Enjoy it, and take lots of photos and put them up on Facebook and everywhere else that we can see them. Predictions for Saturday then. What are we thinking Saturday? Alex, I'll let you go first on Saturday's prediction.
Well, hopefully we'll get that 3-0 win tomorrow, and we'll be able to go into the game with momentum, and we should be able to get a comfortable victory against Burnley, which would send us into the international break with good vibes, as we just spoke about. And I mean, we should really be able to get a comfortable win against Burnley. They've struggled this beginning of the season, and yeah, I'll go with a 2-0 comfortable victory against Burnley.
I'm going to go a bit more than 2-0. We should be beating them very comfortable, and I'm expecting. Yeah, I was going to say I'm expecting a Sheffield United type result.
I'd love that.
Yeah, I'm going 5-0. I know it sounds ridiculous, but 4-0, 5-0. We've got to be keeping a clean sheet against them. I like Vincent Kompany. I like what he does, but I think he's been suicidal trying to play real football with Burnley in the Premier League. I watched the documentary on Sky. It's not a bad documentary. It's a bit interesting. I find it more interesting because I quite like him, and I think he would be a great manager one day. We don't have no Trev, so we're not going to do a North London forever. We're going to do this one. So you know what to do on Saturday and tomorrow night if you're around Black 5. That's one of the songs that we're going to be singing. We'll see you there, guys. Thanks very much. I know it's been a bit hot and bothered up there in the hot seat, but when you're in the hot seat, you got to take the pressure down. I hope you can cope next time.
I'm not going to buy it.
Thanks for listening to Guns and Yellow Ribbons, an Arsenal podcast by Arsenal fans for Arsenal fans. Follow us on Facebook at Guns and Yellow Ribbons or Twitter at Guns and Ribbons. And remember to rate and review us too. Up the Arsenal.